Alright, I'm about to pop open this can of coffee and tell you all the failures I've had as an athlete. I feel like it's really easy to look at it on the outside and say you've had a ton of success because I've had some good success running. I won nationals in high school, I was a 6-time All-American, I run professionally now, and I've made world teams. So there have been a lot of highs in my career, but there's also been a ton of lows, and sometimes the lows aren't talked about a lot, and I feel like if you're going through a rough time and you're a runner, sometimes you think that you're just all alone and that nobody else has lows, but really we all have lows. So hopefully this is encouraging to you, especially if you're going through a really tough time. And I'm also going to tell you what I learned from all these failures because I think that you can learn something from every setback or failure in your career. So let's get this coffee open and get started. Really, y'all? I sounded so Texan right then, y'all. Really, I haven't tried canned coffee like ever. I think this is the very first time in my life I've ever tried canned coffee. I don't really know why I got this. Well, I kind of do. We're in Phoenix right now and it's freaking hot out and you do some crazy things when it's hot out. Crazy things. And I just finished a run and I went to the store and I saw this coffee and it looked really appetizing at the time. So I grabbed it and here we are now with canned coffee. So let's see how it is. I'm nervous. Not bad, actually. It's fine. My expectations were a lot lower than this. Solid 5 out of 10. Anyway, I know you all came here to hear about my failures, so I'll stop talking about coffee now. Failure number 1. In high school, in my senior year, I had my first really big injury, which was a torn LCL or lateral collateral ligament in my knee. And this came right after a high point in my high school career. I won Nike Nationals in high school, and this came right after that. So I went from a really big high to a really big low. And it's actually kind of ironic because I think that I actually tore my knee at Nike Nationals. They, for some reason, didn't think that the course was muddy enough. It was literally raining outside, actually raining the day before, and we did a course shakeout. I have a picture of all my team and we were there and we were covered in mud, and there were people with hoses there spraying it down the course because they wanted to make it muddier. So I don't know what they were thinking. We also had to hurdle over hay bales, so this was a really wild course. The times were really slow if you go back and look at it. I run a lot faster in that cross country season. But anyway, I won the race, but after the race my knee was really starting to hurt me. After that race, I raced out Foot Locker Nationals the next weekend because that was the end of my season, but then I took a break. After I rested, I came back and started running again, but my knee was still hurting, and yeah, after a couple of weeks, I went to a doctor and they told me that I had torn my lateral collateral ligament, which is a really weird running injury. They think it was because of the course at Nike because it was so uneven and it was just like really muddy there, and it started hurting like right after that race. So anyway, yeah, I think I tweaked it somewhere and then just kept running on it and ended up tearing it. That was the first big running injury I had. The lesson I learned in this one is that my value is not attached to any kind of running performance. My parents were so good about telling me that my value wasn't in running. My faith is really important to me, so I see myself and every other human around me as valuable, no matter what their performance is. If they're good or bad at something, it doesn't matter. Every human has value. And so I think that that was instilled in me growing up, and I kept that with me even through this injury. And that was something that was really solidified in my mind and learned through this injury. It would have been really easy for me to get depressed or just see myself as not valuable just because that was the first really big setback that I went through, but I had a lot of really amazing people, my parents included, just affirming in me that I have value apart from running. And I learned from that injury that running is something that I absolutely love doing, but it's not who I am and it's not where I should find my value. I'm actually so thankful that I learned that early on, and that's what I learned from my first big running injury. The next big failure that I had in running was basically my entire freshman and sophomore year of college, because I went to college after winning nationals and being a big recruit, so I think there were a lot of expectations put on me, and I was definitely not living up to those expectations. So my first couple of years in college were not great at all. It just took me a really long time to adjust to the college life and college training and all of that, and I definitely was not doing the little things right, like eating well or sleeping well and all the things that your coaches always tell you to do so that you can run fast. I was not doing. I was just goofing off. I have no excuses for myself. I'm professional. So I went from winning nationals in high school to not even making it to nationals my freshman and sophomore year, which I think there is some kind of adjustment period, but I was like way underperforming, I think, for myself. For example, probably my lowest point was at our conference meet. I got lapped off the track, which means that if someone laps you on the track, you have to quit and stop the race. Like, the officials pull you off of the track, and I was doing so poorly that I got lapped off the track, and I didn't even finish the race in indoors my sophomore year. So that was not great, and my coach definitely had some really hard talks with me after that. It was just really real with me because we both had high goals for me, so I'm thankful that he had some of those conversations with me. What I learned from that is that the little things do matter, the nutrition, the sleep, the mindset going into races. I just didn't have that. So I worked with a sports psych that helped me a ton during that time. He really helped me first to just organize my life. I just did not have good time management skills. So he really, really helped me to manage my time and help me understand that I actually had time to do everything that I needed to do. And I just needed to organize my time a little bit better. So he really, really helped with that. And then he also just helped with mindset and races too. We had some really good visualization sessions, and he helped me a lot with race strategy and just like getting my mind into the race. My next failure was actually because I took some of those little things to the far extreme. Actually, just one of those little things, which was nutrition. And I had an eating disorder my junior and senior year of college, and eventually went to rehab for it my senior year. I was not treating my body well at all, and that led to a string of injuries in the first few years of me running professionally. So I had, I think, 2 stress fractures and then 4 or 5 bouts of tendonitis, from Achilles tendonitis to peroneal tendonitis, post-tib tendonitis, a lot of different kinds of tendonitis in my lower legs. Basically, just my whole lower legs were tendonitis. I was just basically injured every 5 to 6 months. So I went through a really, really hard time of injuries. I really had to rewire my mind, and it took a long time to kind of get into my mind that smaller didn't equal faster. I feel like for a long time I could say that, but I didn't really believe it deep down. But now I can say that lighter doesn't always equal faster, and I'm thankful for the body that I have. So I think that's another part of it too, is just being grateful for what I have. And I'm also really grateful anytime I can run now, because there was a time when running was not so easy for me. My lesson learned was to treat my body well. Eating well and resting well really do go a long way. My next running setback is that I lost my professional contract. So right after college, I got a contract with ASICS, the running shoe company, and I ran professionally for them on the track and the roads for a few years. But I got really, really burned out from racing on the track and the roads, and from just getting injured all the time, because that was in my span of injuries. So yeah, I think I was just getting really burned out, 1, from getting injured, 2, from the constant pacing of the track and the roads, because you have to be so on pace exactly and hit your splits with every race. And it was starting to get in my head, and running just was not fun anymore, to be honest. I was still training, but I kind of took a little step back, and I coached for a while in college, and that was super fun. I absolutely loved the college team that I got to coach, and it was a really great experience. So yeah, I took a little bit of a step back from professional running, kind of forcibly, because I did lose my contract. And actually, while I was coaching, I found out that I absolutely loved running in the trails. There were a bunch of trails on the college campus that I coached on, and I started running in those. So I ended up pivoting and starting to run more on trails instead of the roads, and that was just a nice break. I still had this love for competition, and I really did love training hard, but I love that you could go more off of effort instead of pace in the trails. So I decided to pivot from the track and the roads to the trails. And honestly, it's been the best thing. I've had so many fun adventures in the trails. I love racing on the trails more than on the track and the roads. I think it's so fun. I think there's so many cool places to explore. I've had so many great adventures, met so many awesome friends, and yeah, I love the trails. So it was a good pivot, and I would definitely say lesson learned there, that pivoting is okay, and if you're not enjoying something, you don't have to keep doing it. It's awesome to push yourself, but push yourself in something that's really, really fun for you. And sometimes there are those times, obviously, where you have setbacks. I'm talking about all my setbacks and failures right now. So obviously there are those times, but if you're just like really not enjoying something for a long period of time, it's okay to pivot and do something different and push yourself in a different way. This pivot really worked out for me, because now I have a running contract with Merrill, a company that's more in the trails, and I'm just loving this chapter of my running career. I have fulfilled some childhood dreams of mine of making US teams and running on world championship teams and going and exploring all over the world and having these wild, crazy adventures. I'm about to race on the Great Wall of China at the end of April. That's wild to me. I'm really living the dream, and I am so thankful that I allowed myself to pivot. Last running failure. Well, there's probably definitely more running failures, but this is the last one that I'm going to talk about today. And that is that I DNF'd my first ultra, which, if you don't know what DNF means, it means did not finish. So I tried to do Black Canyon's 100K last February, and it was my first 100K. At that time, I'd done shorter stuff in the trails, so the sub-ultra distances, and I really just wanted to try an ultra. So I hopped in 100K, not really just hopped in, I really trained for this, okay? So I actually was trying to do well in it, and I felt so terrible that day. I was throwing up within 15 miles, and I had never thrown up on any long run in that training block ever leading up to it. So don't know what was going on at all. DNF'd that one about 30 miles into it, so I made it halfway, not to 60 miles or 100K, but I made it to about the 50K mark. I felt like it was definitely safer to pull out of that one. It was very disappointing because I really wanted to try getting into ultras, but then I realized that I really do just love the sub-ultra distance. I really love running fast on the trails, and I kind of missed that. So because I had learned the lesson that it was okay to pivot, I pivoted back to the shorter trail distances, and I had a really, really great year last year of trails. I started off on that low with the DNF and the 100K, but by the end of the year, I got 11th in the world in the Golden Trail World Series, and that means I was one of the fastest sub-ultra runners in the world. I also love the sub-ultra distances because you can race a lot more, and I love racing. So I think it's so fun because with ultras, you can really only race a couple times a year, but in the sub-ultra distances, I can race a lot during the year, and it's super fun. The lesson that I learned from that was kind of what this whole video has been about, which is it's okay to fail. And failure doesn't mean that it's the end of your running career. It doesn't even mean that it's the end of that chapter of your running career. It just means that you've had a setback, and it's okay. And you can actually learn a ton from failure. You can learn a lot about yourself. You can learn a lot about what you love doing, what you don't like doing, and you can maybe learn how you need to adjust your training too. I hope you've enjoyed this video about all my setbacks and failures, and I also hope that it's brought you some hope if you are going through a failure or setback right now, whether that's an injury or training just isn't clicking with you right now or whatever it is. I hope that you know that it's okay to fail and that you're doing something amazing just by pushing yourself and doing the best that you can every day. Because that is always enough and it's always worth it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like this video, comment what you want to see next, and subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll see you next time.